Everyone likes to feel understood. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to be more understanding in a relationship. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach about relationships and communication and parenting through the lens of self-government all over the world. So let's talk about being more understanding and what that looks like. In this video, I'm going to share a personal story from my life when I really learned what it meant to feel understood, which changed everything for me. And then some of the key principles that you can focus on so that you can be more understanding in your relationships with the people that you love too. Years ago, I worked at a funeral home. I know people probably don't believe that with all the work I've done with relationships and development and stuff, but I was a counselor at a funeral home and helped people at their very difficult times. Well, I had a boss at this funeral home who was unlike any other guy I'd ever met. He was wise, he was patient, he was soft-spoken but powerful, all at the same time. And I was young, very young. This was at a time before I even had children and when I was a very young mother. He was so understanding. He always seemed to know exactly what I needed. And he literally changed my life. There was some office politics going on at this office, and the women, there were many women in the office, and sometimes, when you get a lot of women in the office, not to talk bad about women, because I am one, but sometimes they get a little catty. Right? So there were some things that were happening in the office where the women were arguing about things and trying to assert dominance over each other. And this guy, he just went along and tried to create a calm, but it got to a point where I was getting bugged. And so I asked him, hey, can I talk to you? His name was Richard Bentley. And I sat down in Richard's office and I talked to him about the problems that I noticed in the office and how I felt like people were attacking me for different things and how I was trying to do my best and all of this kind of stuff. And it was a really neat conversation because I went in there with the whole purpose of trying to make it seem like I had been mistreated. And I left that conversation feeling like I wanted to understand the other people around me more. This was amazing to me. I never would have thought that would happen in that one room with my boss. This is what he did. I told him that I had a problem that I needed to discuss. He said, no problem. We have time right now. We can talk about it. I came in. He said, what is the nature of this discussion? And I said, well, there's been some things going on in the office that I don't like, and I feel like it's not really good, the way people are treating each other. And then he looked at me and he said, all these people in this office, they really bring something unique and different to this office, and they're all really valuable. And I do know they're all really passionate too, really driven. We have such a good office. We are so productive here in everything that we do and when we take care of people. So he immediately started advocating for every person in the office. So he made it so that my defenses then were changed just a little bit. So then he said, so tell me, because I know passionate people sometimes can do things that they even regret later and maybe they won't even admit, but I know something could happen. What's been going on? So then I talked and he listened. For a very long time he listened. And as I talked and saw him listen and really care, and he repeated back a couple of things to me a few times, I found myself starting to advocate for the other people, starting to give them the benefit of the doubt, because he was full of love, not hostility. He wasn't mad that I was taking his time. He truly wanted to be there. He truly cared, and he truly listened. This turned me into a different person. So when I took troubled youth into my home who had very difficult pasts, lots of times abuse and other difficult things, trauma that they're dealing with, I decided I was going to be Richard Bentley. I was going to be that person for my family, for my husband, for my children, and for my foster children, so that they would know I was always a person who would take the time to listen and to truly understand. So here are a few of the key principles that I use to make sure that I understand the people that come to me and talk to me, or don't even talk to me, but just need to know somebody really cares and paid attention. Before I get to the key principles that I follow on really understanding other people, I am here for you. I'm here to listen to you. So comment below and tell me exactly what's going on or what struggles you have with understanding other people. The first principle I follow is a principle that I actually have learned from Gandhi as well as Stephen Covey. The principle is seek to understand, then to be understood. There's a great story of Gandhi and how everyone would come to him for solutions to their problems. One time a mother came to him because her child, her son, would not eat anything except for sugar, and apparently she didn't know how to give him a no answer. This boy, his health was deteriorating, and she thought, well, he reveres Gandhi. If Gandhi tells him not to eat sugar, he won't. So she goes to Gandhi and asks him to tell her that, and Gandhi says, come back in a month. And so she didn't understand, but she came back in a month. Her child had gotten sicker, and finally Gandhi looked at the boy and said, don't eat sugar. And she said to Gandhi, Gandhi, why didn't you tell him that a month ago? He's gotten sicker and sicker. He would have stopped then. And he looked at the woman and he said, a month ago I was still eating sugar. Whoa! Did he really go to a level of understanding? This was characteristic of Gandhi. So Stephen Covey in his book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People shares that as one of the 7 habits of a highly effective person is seek to understand, then to be understood. So before we tell anything, let's make sure we get our information straight. Let's look and discern. Sometimes it's not in words, sometimes we just watch, sometimes we feel, and we can develop some sort of an understanding of what the person might be experiencing. And don't discount the spiritual too. I know that many times I get a feeling for what somebody else might need or what I could do or how I could help another person because of a spiritual prompting. So keep that in mind as well. One of the skills that I use to seek to understand, then to be understood, is the skill disagreeing appropriately. Now, if you follow all of my parenting stuff, you know that this is one of the 4 basic skills that I teach children so that they can learn self-mastery. But the skill is not just for children. In fact, it is for everyone. We all need to seek to understand, then to be understood. And the disagree appropriately skill is perfect. The steps to disagreeing appropriately are you look at the person, you keep a calm face, voice, and body. You say that you understand the other person's point of view. Then you share your point of view, you listen to what they have to say, you say okay, and then you drop the subject. This is super helpful because sometimes, even in an effort to try to understand other people, we do feel like we need to tell them something too, something they might need, or maybe they need to understand something about us in the end. So making sure we come at it through this lens of disagreeing appropriately and seeking to understand can make all the difference. Another principle in understanding people in your relationships is making sure that you prioritize time with that person. You do need to have time with them when you're not talking about problems, but also schedule time with them where they can bring anything up to you, any concern, and it's always going to be safe. I remember there was a time where I told my son, hey, these mentor meetings, because we have weekly mentor meetings with our children, those are things that I teach in the Teaching Self-Government course. Anyway, I said these mentor meetings are a time where you could say anything. Everything is safe here. No one's going to get angry about something. It doesn't matter what you told us you did. This is the time for us to hear you and help you make goals and listen to any concerns that you have. So we always ask them things like, hey, do you have any concerns? Is there any problem that you have right now with me or anything that I can do to improve to help you? We talk about these things, and then that opens the door. They recognize Mom really does care about me. She really does want the best for me, and she schedules this time for me every single week. And I don't just talk to him once a week, but lots of other times too. And when I say talk to him, there is a whole lot of listening going on. This brings me to another principle, and that is that if you really want to help somebody feel understood, make sure that you do like 90% listening, 10% problem solving. So even though you have a lot of things going on in your mind at the time, make sure that they see you are listening, actively listening to them. Look into their eyes, focus on their words, repeat back some of the things that they've said, show interest. This is really good listening. And this shows them that you care and you're there. And as we're talking about some of the cues that they're giving you with their words, don't forget their body language too. Sometimes it's really healing to say to a person, oh, I can tell you're frustrated right now. Or I know that was a disappointment for you, even if they never said it was a disappointment. You just sensed it, you knew it, you declared it. They immediately feel like you're there for them. They could talk to you about something. You are a safe person. That's what we want to do to help people feel more understood. I think all people could definitely do better at understanding others, taking the time, slowing down, being patient, being wise, and really listening and understanding, just like my boss Richard Bentley did for me, which changed my life so many years ago. We all can use these skills, and there are so many other skills that we can use too. In fact, I would like to share another skill with you. This is the skill of calmness. I have a Calm Parenting Toolkit. There is a link to it in the description below this video. If you click on the link that goes to the Calm Parenting Toolkit at the top of the description section, then you will receive a free version of this mini course, which will give you skills and principles that you can use to maintain your calmness in any situation so that you can have more patience and understanding with the people that you love.